The new Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier DLC, Raven Strike, is upon us with 3 new campaign missions and 1 new Guerrilla Map. Ubisoft promises the traditional Ghost Recon experience, larger maps, complex missions, and increased level of difficulty. Can the Ghost live up to these expectations, or is it just more of the same? Hey everybody, welcome to the GamerNerdz. I'm Voyce. Let's get into the review of the new Ghost Recon Future Soldier DLC, Raven Strike. So we're gonna start with the story side of things. The DLC comes with 3 new campaign missions. One of the main issues I had with the main storyline was the fact that the story was pretty convoluted. You kind of jumped from one place to the next. It's kind of hard to keep track of exactly what you're doing. The objective wasn't very clear. One second you're in Nigeria, then you're in Pakistan, then you're in Russia, and you're just like, I have no clue what's going on. The storyline in the DLC is more focused, makes it easier for me to follow through. Now granted, there are only 3 missions, which means that there wasn't really any room for Ubisoft to go crazy. Makes your objective a little bit more clear. The story starts off with a debriefing. Russia's in trouble once again. Terrorist group Raven Rock Juzina, they plotted a coup against President Volden. Unlike the main game, where at the end of every mission you had a cutscene that showed the Ghost from a more personal point of view, where you got to see them without their helmets, kind of added a human aspect to the storyline. In this one, there aren't any of those cutscenes. It's pretty much briefing, mission, so you kind of lose that sense of connection that you have with the characters. I'm not going to spoil the storyline for anyone, but by the time you get to the end of the game, there's this big deal that's being made about this Russian intel that you have to go get. But then when the mission ends, you see a score screen, and then that's it. It just cuts off and you're done. There is no cutscene, no explanation, nothing. It just ends, and it kind of just cheapens the experience. But the most important part is the gameplay now. One of the key points Ubisoft kept making was the fact that this DLC was returning to the more traditional Ghost Recon gameplay, larger and more complex environments. Now, for the most part, that's true. From a gameplay point of view, one of the main issues I had with the main game was the fact that you could feel a little overpowered. You had your drone, you had your sensors, you could sync shots, so you could play the whole game for the most part if you were good from the background, just ordering your team. Now, one of the cool things I liked they did with the DLC, the first mission has you without any of your toys, so no drone, no sensor, in this swampy forest region, a lot of green around you, large environment, so it pretty much returns to the more traditional Ghost Recon games. You can still sync up shots, but it's not as easy as it was in the main game. Enemies seem a little bit more aware of not only their environments, of each other, but also you. So from a distance, they can actually spot you. It's not as easy as it was to go through a given area and not alert someone, which adds difficulty and a sense of pressure and increases the chances of you actually falling into a firefight. From the second mission on, you're giving back your toys, so you're giving back your sensor, your drone, all that good stuff. So it returns in a sense to the way it was in the main game, except that you have these large environments and the enemies are just smarter. Like I said in the review of the main game, one of the elements I did not like were these no alert zones where you could not alert an enemy and it was game over if you did. I felt like it went against the grain of the game, defeated the purpose in my opinion anyway. Now I'm sad to say that in the second mission, for the first half anyway, the no alert zone thing returns, and it pretty much bothered me because you had this beautiful environment, this secluded Russian rail yard, starts you off in this farm, green pastures and green fields everywhere, and then you're restricted to how you can play, which really pissed me off, especially given the fact that in these DLC complex environments you can approach a situation from multiple points of views. In one place in particular, you're in this open field, you have helicopters zooming by. It was really hard to not cause an alert, and I did a few thousand times, so at the end it became frustrating and trial and error. But I'm happy to say that it's only now one section. I think this game as a whole really shines when you're just given choice. One of the things I really liked, there was this perfect balance between open environments, large, more complex situations, and then close quarter combat. So the DLC is successful in returning the game to its more traditional roots and retaining the new stuff that made the main game so enjoyable. So apart from the 3 campaign missions, there's also a new Guerrilla Map by the name of Sawmill. I think the unique thing about this new map is the fact that the focal region that you have to defend is that much clear, and enemies come from all sides to attack. It's definitely a lot of fun playing with 4 people strategizing. I tried to play by myself and I got my ass handed to me. If you're not careful, getting flanked is pretty much expected. Now in terms of AV, what really makes it stand out are the environments of the new campaign missions, most notably the last mission based in Moscow. It's at nighttime, it's beautiful, you have to use your night vision goggles. So overall, the new DLC is definitely worth a download, mostly for the 3 new campaign missions, for the new environments, the harder enemies, the more complex level structures. It is relatively short and the storyline isn't anything to write home about, but all in all, good stuff. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. Will you be downloading the DLC? Let us know in a comment below. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. We'll see you next time on The GamerNerdz. Let's get into the review of the new game. Let's get into the new Ghost Recon Future Soldier DLC. Let's get into the review of the new Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Oh my god. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on